Hey everybody, and thanks for listening to another episode of the Kick Your Boots Up podcast. Feel free to tell us what you think. Like, subscribe, share it with your friends. The set looks a little bit different this week, and before we get to know the next guest, we're going to get to dive a little bit deeper into his story. I want to challenge you, Matt Merritt, to a competition to see who can put on their makeup the fastest. So thank you for being a champ and wanting to do this. And I guess before we get started, tell us about what you're about to do, and then we'll kind of talk through it once we get started.
Yeah, so I'm about to put on my my rodeo clown face, my rodeo makeup. It all means something to me. I don't know how other guys do it, but you'll see initials. They're for people that I love, people that I'm thinking about when I'm getting ready. So not to start off all sentimental and sappy, but that's the truth of it. It's my reflection time before I go do the job that I love. And I don't know. Tell me about your makeup. What's the secret to yours?
Well, honestly, it's a hodgepodge of things. I can't even explain the chaos that's going on here. But I've got to ask you, are you going to be doing anything with your eyes? Are you doing any eyeshadow?
When I first started, I would do like I'm talking forehead down all the way down, and
full face.
Yeah, it was horrible. I couldn't get it out of my eyebrows would be all caked up. So I changed it as I got a little older, and I do triangles under each eye.
Okay.
And then the initials kind of around it, and I put a cross on my nose, and then I do little dots around there. And traditionally, back in the day, rodeo clowns would have a lot of makeup like I did when I first began. And we're doing a little bit less now, and I'll even change it a little bit weekly, but it's always that foundation of the triangles and the initials.
And I love that. I love that we're about to know the story as you do it. I'm going to reach down and grab my phone real quick so we can time.
Okay.
Not that it matters, but it is going to be cool to know how fast you can do it, you know?
You want to hear a really interesting fact?
Yes,
always. This is my makeup kit. I've been doing this for 24 years, and I use this bandana to wipe the powder off that I used to set. And just listen, I don't know if you can, I've never washed that thing in 24 years.
Okay, hang on. This is probably disgusting, but maybe you can hear that ASMR.
You feel the powder.
Oh, I feel it and I smell it. This is so cool.
24 years of bad decisions in your hand right there.
That's amazing. Nobody's ever seen that before, I'm sure. And it's so funny because rodeo queens or even people that wear stage makeup, they do setting. So I didn't know that you said it.
Yeah,
so we'll have to talk through that.
I found out about this stuff too. I don't want to talk about their product, and I'm going to turn it label in because they don't sponsor us. But it's a setting spray. It works really nice, yeah.
That is so crazy. Oh my gosh, everyone out there, girls, who knew that?
Reba, she's a Justin Boots. I got my Reba mirror if I need a mirror. Well, here's your one chance fancy. Don't let me down.
Fancy mirror.
So you just say when.
Okay.
Can I get my stuff out?
Yeah, get it out. I got the head start and got it all laid out. So
just give me one moment.
You do your thing.
I'm gonna do white and black are the only colors I'm gonna.
Oh, that looks. Today. I'm not gonna lie, Matt. That looks so disgusting.
What?
That looks like you're about to just go.
My whole
glop.
setup here, yeah.
The glop. That just feels.
It is. It's what she's talking about. And glop is this. I don't know which camera.
Yeah.
This stuff will last forever, though. Like I've had this white for years.
Wow.
I've had some of them for 10 years.
I believe it because you only need a little bit, right?
Yeah, it doesn't take much. A little goes a long way.
Are you ready?
I use two hands, by the way, because I'm usually very nervous before I perform. So this is my technique, and I shake bad because I drink a lot of coffee.
So we're kind of mimicking, let's pretend you're about to go fight a bull then, because that's like the coffee
I'm as nervous to compete against you as I would being in the arena with a bull.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, without further ado, I'm going to count us down. 3, 2, 1, go. This is crazy. So what are you starting with first?
The triangles.
Okay, and I'm going to do some contouring. Do you ever contour? Probably not.
I don't even know what that means.
This is amazing.
Chances are, if I don't, sometimes, I did good today, but sometimes I'll get my triangles the wrong size, and I got to erase one, but they're pretty close together.
That bugs you then? It matters to you what?
Yeah, it's like tying one shoe tighter than the other.
Okay, that's real. Or like, I don't know.
I've never raced anyone.
I know, me neither.
I'm trying to stay calm. It's like a calf roper. Like you get in too much of a hurry and you bobble. I don't want to bobble.
No. And then we have to do a whole podcast episode looking this way. So
oh, we do?
I don't want to say I look like a clown, but it's
No,
okay if
that's
you look
fine.
like a clown
Yeah, that's
because
fine. Pays the bills.
That's right. That's right. And I did cheat. I want everyone to know. I wanted it to be a little bit fair, so I at least did the base. I did all the base and the powder and the setting.
I don't have a base, so there's no cheating.
And then one thing that I think is cool about you with your makeup is I noticed like on pink night, you'll have pink on your nose or pink. So explain the different colors. Like, why do you
Yeah,
do?
well, I mean, again, the foundation, it's even on my belt. Like, well, it's not on the tail, but on my, it's again, my initials and those shapes I stick with, but the color I kind of put, I'll show you when I'm done. There's a place where the red will go, or if, it's yellow or whatever color, sometimes I'll change that just to kind of fit the mood. Yeah. Patriotic night, maybe I'll do a little more red, white, and blue. I'm so glad you said that because I have seen you do the American flags on your face for like patriotic. I know people gave me the advice when I started, you need to wear the same color shirt and do your makeup exactly the same every time.
Yep.
Because that's how they recognize you and it's your brand.
I've heard that too.
And I said, well, everybody else is doing that, so I'll just change mine every now and then and wear a different shirt every time, and I'll be, if they don't know my name, they'll at least say, hey, it's the guy that never dresses the same. I don't know.
I can't say that I've ever said that about you, but I will now. It's the guy that never dresses the same. That's funny. Have you ever talked this much while putting your makeup on? What's the weirdest experience you've had putting your makeup on, I guess?
Well, so this is a lot of times I'm, away from my wife often. So this is when Bonnie and I do a lot of our talking, and she'll ask a question, and, I got her on the speakerphone or whatever, and I can't respond. Just say, I'm like, I can't talk right now. I'm trying to do my letter.
I didn't realize it was this serious, to be honest. I kind of thought you just grabbed your fingers, but you even have a brush going on here.
I know everyone does it different. A lot of the guys I work with, they use their finger and they smear it all over, and then they do the black second. And I'm the opposite. So see, I'm getting close. How close are you?
Not at all close, but that's okay because if you
win, getting smoked.
Yes. And what's so crazy is like TV magic. We're actually not doing any TV magic at all. We're actually doing it all here.
Live.
But like even after we film this podcast, there's like an event later. So of course I have to make it look good. And same for you. Of course you have to make it look good.
Yeah.
Okay, wait. So I see the initials.
Okay, so they're backwards. I don't know on the camera, are they backwards? To you, they're backwards, right?
Yeah, because they're right for you in the mirror.
They're right for me in the mirror. And it's my time to think of these people. E is my grandfather, my father, and my daughter's first initial. And I was supposed to be Edgar Harold Merritt III, but my mother wouldn't allow for it. So the E is
Edgar.
Yeah, that was my father and grandfather's name. My mom said no. So it was Matthew, actually. Anyway.
Nothing against Edgar, but good job, Mom.
Yeah. It wouldn't have worked so good when I was little. So that's for Etta, is who it's mainly for, but it's also kind of my dad and grandpa.
Wow.
The H is my middle initial and my father and grandfather. And then as we go on, this is G and C, who was Gary Crocker, a rodeo clown that helped me a lot when I was young and gave me a lot of advice. So he's passed on, so it's kind of my moment to think of him. And then I kind of work my way up. I do E, H, G, C, and then I always do my cross because I'm a Christian, and I got to have him on my side.
Yes. You can't do what you do and not have him on your side and on your face and on your nose. And I always say you're wearing Jesus on your shoulders. So same thing. You're wearing him on your nose.
And then my wife is Bonnie, so I do a B up here.
A B. See, I was thinking that was an R.
Well, there is going to be an R here for Rui,
Whoa.
my daughter. Then there's one final deal. Everybody thinks that I'm doing like whiskers, like it's supposed to be a cat, but it's M's for Matt Merritt on my face here.
Definitely thought it was whiskers.
No,
that's
they're M's.
Cool.
And then I polish it up with some white dots, and I'll be done. You'll still be doing your...
I'll still be going. Crazy. I'm doing better than I thought, though, because I definitely thought you were going to be way ahead. So.
Well, I still have to put the powder on and use that old dirty rag I have.
Which, okay, by the way, how do you not have, like, acne or anything from not cleaning that rag?
It's just to wipe the powder off.
Okay.
So when I'm putting on my makeup, I put these dots on here, because they're pretty decorative, really. It just kind of, see how it makes it look like you're wearing a lot more makeup.
It makes it pop.
But then at the end, I put on that cross, I do my 3, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. That's my 3 dots. And so it's the last thing I say to myself as I'm putting it on. And then I go, I've never watched this one either.
Ooh, that one's bad too.
This is the one that you put the powder on.
And that's like microfiber, so that holds some stuff.
Some years.
Yeah, that has. What'd you say? 24 years of bad decisions.
Yeah.
And since we're doing this, I know you mentioned when we weren't recording that you've put your makeup on like in a rental car.
Oh, rental cars.
Where's the craziest? Yeah, like tell me where you've done it.
Locker rooms, rental cars. One time, I was going down. Greg Simus, he's a rodeo announcer, and we were in at Cowtown, New Jersey, and we'd done a rodeo in New York somewhere, and we had to go to Cowtown that night, and we were going to barely make it. So he's driving, and I'm putting my makeup on, going down the road, which was for women. My mom, when I was growing up, that's how she got ready for work every day, taking us to school. But for me, it was pretty crazy because we're hitting bumps, and I'm used to doing it.
Wait, does that mean you're done? You're done?
Well, until my setting spray's set, then yeah, I'm done.
Oh my gosh.
Girl, I just got to get that stuff to set. Yeah.
It's so funny. This
More
is
like
definitely a thing. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that just took you 7 minutes,
7
and I think
minutes.
you could have done it way
And that
faster.
was talking.
We were
Yeah.
talking.
Yeah.
We were gabbing.
You know what's embarrassing? I didn't realize how long it took, and I always get ready an hour before the rodeo, so maybe I need to reel it in a little bit.
Well, it's part of your ritual now. You can't change
That's
it.
right.
You can't. Okay, well, because he beat me and I am only halfway ready, we're going to take a quick pause. But when we come back, we're going to reset and get to know the real Matt Merritt with the makeup. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Step into the legendary style of the King of Country with the George Strait collection from Justin Boots. Fit for a king, these boots boast an advanced cushioning system and are crafted with the finest exotic leathers, embodying Georgia's iconic comfort and stage-worthy presence.
Make sure to check out the George Strait collection from Justin Boots, standard of the West since 1879.
Find yours today at justinboots.com.
Hey, everybody, we're back in studio. We look a little bit normal, a little bit different. You got some face makeup on. That was so fun, Matt. Thanks for doing that. You're a real trooper.
Yeah, you asked me while we were applying our makeup, what's the weirdest place I've ever put it on? And then after some reflection, I realized it was here today.
On a podcast. That's the
Yeah.
weirdest. I
Yeah.
wish we had a trophy for that so you could take it with you.
That would be a
because
really
that
neat
would be a good, you know what? Here you go. You can take your mug with you.
Thank you.
Momentum. No, that's really awesome. This was fun. I loved it. That was the first time I've ever done it on camera too. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. I know I did. I learned that Matt Merritt never washes his face rag. So I don't know. That's questionable.
We need to weigh it and see how much it weighs.
It's 2 pounds at least.
Maybe. Yeah.
I mean,
It hurts me at the airport sometimes.
gonna
It's
say,
that
that's
one
like
thing I can't get rid of that's weighs too much.
it might weigh more than your whole case.
Yes.
No, not really, but anyway, so getting into you and about a little bit about your story. Before we tell everyone about how cool you are now, currently, let's talk about how you got started in being a barrelman, and I think even bull riding too. You tried at one point in time?
I can explain. I know.
Yeah.
I never had any bull riding equipment. I thought that it would be neat to be a bull rider. Where I grew up, a place called the 2x4 Ranch. A guy named Joe Lynn Robinson lived there. And all my little buddies would get on steers and junior bulls and stuff. And I would go up there, and I did get on a couple of steers, but didn't even get to the point where I bought equipment, or I realized quickly I don't like this. It doesn't feel good. I was honest with myself at a young age,
Good
which is
for you.
Yeah, which was cool because I'm glad I didn't go down that path. It wasn't for me. What do they say? People, you flight or fright?
Fight or flight?
Yeah, I think I also there's freeze, so I did all three at once: flight, fright, and freeze. I just didn't know. They say it slows down for you. No, it didn't ever slow down for me.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was funny and liked attention, so off I went.
Oh my gosh. And then I guess what made you transition into being a barrel man from that?
Well, I mean, again, that was all I've ever really done. It was I could be around the rodeos with my friends and also do what I wanted to do. So, like when I was in school, I really liked to be in plays and stand up in front of the class and give speeches. And I enjoy, I don't know if it's the attention I liked or it's a lot of, a bull to ride one or to fight one is scary. But I think the number one fear in the world is probably public speaking. And I got a real thrill out of that. And maybe the same thrill that drove those guys to go be rodeo athletes. And then I took it a step further and I decided to do public speaking dressed like this. So even scarier.
Which is honestly really great because at the end of the day, I think they say you're exactly right about public speaking. It's the biggest fear, and to picture people in their underwear or whatever. But like, you're like, I can do you one better. You just look at me. I already look like a clown, so it can't get much worse, right?
It does help to have this sometimes. It took over the years. I've been doing it long enough and made enough appearances and done television and things. I got to be in a movie once, but all these things that happen, I'm more comfortable in my own skin and dressed however I happen to be dressed, making appearances or whatever. But there was a time where the makeup almost saved me from fear because I could be the clown, Merritt, not just the guy. Yes. So I'm over it now, but it was like a crutch.
A time in your life. That is so relatable, especially I know a lot of our listeners are kind of like younger or older teens, younger 20s and into their 30s too. And that's me. It's a vulnerable time in your life. You're trying to figure things out. And so if you could have something like that, that will help you get through professionally, that's really cool too. Mm-hmm. But I think it also helps you connect with the kids as well. I've seen you interact. I think it was Selena's. I don't remember what rodeo it was back in the day or a few years ago, but you were so, not only were you the entertainer in the arena, but you were so sincere and intimate with this little kid that was like, googly eyed for you. And what is that like for you and your perspective?
Super rewarding. And there's kids that they're super scared of you too. So you have to kind of read that. I'm serious. You can walk up to a little, hey buddy, how are you at the gate? And you just see instant their tears. Eyes starting to suck back in their head. Tears start to well up and they want to just climb inside their mom's arms. And you have to just leave, like, I'm sorry, buddy. And then they may have a sister that loves you. So you kind of want to show that kid attention and you're scaring the other one. So you kind of read the room, right? But the little kids, man, to see them happy and it's wild how they react to you. And these kids dress like me for Halloween. Like it's emotional. Like, wow, this kid's, I'm doing something that kids like so much that they want to be me when they grow up or wear my jersey. It's really, really rewarding.
I bet it is. That's so beyond cool. And I completely forgot about people being afraid of clowns.
Oh, so it's right next to public speaking.
Yes, you just got two of the hardest things going for you, and you're making it. That's what's so awesome. And I guess tell us a little bit more about like your family and kind of how you are able to do it all, because it's a juggling act. We were just talking off camera about all the different places you're going to go after this and how we were able to make this work and stuff. So just tell us about the behind the scenes stuff that we wouldn't really get to see normally.
I mean, I can preach right now at this very moment. I don't know if this is an evergreen podcast or what day we're going to post it on. But
it's going to be in the future, so that's okay. Yeah. Well, by then you have already done all this.
So I have events booked. It's 2024 now. I have events booked all the way to 2031. Not every week's booked, but I have things that far out. So you got to start scheduling stuff for years in advance. That's one thing. But then you look at the day to day. My wife Bonnie, we've been married 20 years this year in 2024. I have a 15-year-old daughter Rui and an 11-year-old daughter named Etta, and they love horses and the Western way of life in North Carolina at our little working ranch. So they have all their horses and all the things that we need and our dogs and stuff. And we have a home that was built in 1917. So I have like this nice place, and it's so crazy because I'm not able to be there a lot. But if I want to have a home to go to and have my big shower that I love and my bedroom and my kitchen, all the things that I enjoy, my wife or somebody has to be there to take care of it. And so it's really challenging. We have a very special relationship. To be married 20 years is awesome in itself, much less with the lifestyle we live. Like right now, I'm trying to remember when I left home. I brought a camper and a truck to Texas from North Carolina for the Waxahachie, Texas rodeo, whatever that was, 2 months ago.
Wow.
I left the truck and trailer, flew back, did events, back and forth a couple times. I've since, probably done 12, 15 rodeos, and then I'm leaving here tomorrow, taking it to New Mexico and leaving it for 2 weeks while I go to California, coming back to it there, moving it to Colorado, then to Salt Lake, leaving it there for a couple of weeks, and then it goes to Wyoming and then to Kansas. And my wife eventually brings my children and meets me in Kansas and takes the rig back to North Carolina. I don't even go back.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but we're meeting and going on trips together, and they come see me on the road. But
yes,
I know I just went off, but I don't think anybody in the world, I don't know what other baseball players or what. I mean, how do they do it? Because the way we do it's crazy. I mean, you don't get home much if you want to go to all the events.
No, you're right. And that's kind of your sacrifice as their dad and husband too, to get to be able to provide the nice things. You do have to be off. And it's kind of, I'm so glad you brought this up because I'm happy to talk about this. My dad was a welder in the oil field, and luckily he didn't do too much of like the union type work, but I know that when they do, they go off for weeks at a time, they come back, and it's maybe comparable to that, but you're right. It's like a standalone. I mean, because you build your own rodeo family that you go with, from weekend to weekend. And Anthony Lucia, we just had him on the podcast. His episode just aired a while ago now. Once this will be live, you're staying with him now, and we love him. We love that. And talk about the camaraderie there then, because even though like you guys are truly just like cowboys, because cowboys have traveling partners, they get through life by helping each other out. And you and Anthony, same thing. You guys are contract personnel. You probably work a lot of the same rodeos. Talk about just all the camaraderie there.
Yeah, there's a number of guys that I work with, Anthony being one of them, and I work with a lot. And it's kind of a bit of like a band of brothers. I mean, we go into Fort Worth, the American, for instance, at Globe Live.
Yeah.
So just a little insight for anybody that doesn't really know what we do. I know I'm sitting here. I just realized I still have my makeup on. Maybe you're not taking me serious, but
no.
My job is to fill dead air at a rodeo, right?
Right.
So, and to be in the barrel as well. But dead air is what I do most of the performance. And to fill that, I have to have partners. I have to have someone with music, an announcer that I can bounce things off of. So like this year at the American, I think it was 14 3-minute breaks.
Wow.
And you wear an ear monitor, and the television producer is like, hey, we're in commercial. Give me 2 minutes. And you'll start something that you kind of created in your head that lasts 2 minutes. And then in a minute 58, he goes, give us 2 more minutes, because they've got an interview going on TV that they can't come back from or whatever. So having Anthony or Garrett Garrigan, a lot of the different people that I work with back and forth, and Brad Narducci and people on the music, it's saving grace. So when I say band of brothers, it's almost like you leave the American or one of those big long rodeos, you're sweating, you're tired, you're mentally drained, and you know that he's been through the same thing. So I don't really know what it's like to be a contestant, but I can imagine, a header and a heeler traveling together. They're wore out, they're tired, they really needed to count on each other in that big moment, and it creates a brotherhood. So sort of the same thing for us. And yeah, we'll pull over and stay at Anthony's in my camper for a little while, and those guys will come try to see me when they're out east. And it's just really cool. I say I have a family at home, and definitely have one on the road too. And we pray together, and we live and die together out there.
That is so just wow, so well spoken. I love your perspective on that. This is the first time I'm hearing a rodeo clown's perspective that's not funny and jokey, and it's more on the serious side. And I really appreciate and respect that, because that's a huge part of it. And a lot of people don't realize, like, let's talk about the American, for example. If you didn't watch it, go watch a recap video out there. It is a production. It's the what is they call it? The richest weekend in rodeo, or one of, because it's $1 million deal. It's huge. And you guys this year specifically, you got to wear your Texas Rangers jerseys. You got that. That was so fun. But I remember I didn't count that you had 14. But I remember there were lots of times where you had to just pull something out of the hat. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about that. When you have a rodeo that's that big, there's people still filing in all day because the concerts are going on later. People are just coming in and out. How do you keep going and keep the momentum and let your adrenaline just keep carrying you through? How do you do it all?
Well, you're excited. I mean, so your adrenaline's up. So I have that just naturally because I'm so proud and happy to be there. And it's a milestone when you're in a coliseum or a building that big. You have that. But then as far as the techniques that I use to create comedy, they give me a heads up. We're going to have this many breaks, one after bareback riding, one after steer wrestling or whatever. So I kind of know the amount of time that they're going to last. And then I have a few gimmicks up my sleeve, but then I do a lot of research. Like I'll look up the National Day calendar, celebrity birthdays. Like I did the rodeo over here the other day, and Kid Rock left a cigar on the ground, and I picked the cigar up, and I wrapped it in a napkin anyway. I came out later. Then I needed to kill like 2 or 3 minutes. And I said, I'm going to be rich. And the announcer's like, how? Because you're not going to make it here, jokingly.
Yeah.
And I said, well, no, it's from something I've gained since I've been here at this event. And they said, like that's really nice of you, the knowledge and the experience. You're going to be wealthy from that. I go, no. I'm going to sell something on eBay. And then I unravel this in a cigar and I lay it on the ground and I tell the camera guys, zoom in. And the announcer's like, what is it? Is that what I think it is? And I go, oh, no, it's not fecal matter, because it was a little cigar. It looked pretty gross.
It looked like poop.
And I said, it's Kid Rock cigar. I picked it up. I'm going to sell it on eBay. And he goes, how can you prove it's Kid Rock cigar? And I said, oh, I can prove it. He goes, no, you can't prove it. I said, yes, I can. And then I smelled it on screen. Yeah, because it smells like Dale Brisby's mom, and he was standing right there. And so that was kind of the joke. And stupid stuff like that.
Yes.
I mean, it's off the cuff, in the moment. It might not be evergreen. It may not last forever. But at that moment with him there and Dale Brisby there, it was awesome. Yeah.
I love that, because lately my kind of motto has been, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. And that is exactly what you did. They were like, kill time. You're like, okay, Kid Rock, cigar, done. Got it. Did you guys, I have to ask you, did you get to plan that, at least tell them ahead of time? Or did he automatically, the announcer, just was it Matt West?
Yeah, Matt West. Yeah,
okay,
no,
did he start filling in?
It just had to happen, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's when I first started too, all of my rodeo career, I had the clown car, I had the dog that did tricks. I had all these acts that I carried with me. It got harder because you have to rely on the announcer to say the script right. The music has to hit at the perfect time.
Man.
And some of this stuff that I'm doing now, I'm about to start doing a deal with Justin Boots where I can give away a pair of boots, new boot goofing, just have a few people dance
Love that.
do some fun stuff like that that's in the moment.
Matt, if I don't see a boot chug, I'm going to be really upset.
No. They call them shoeys in Australia. They're disgusting. I don't know why people would do that.
I know. No. No, anyways, that's cool. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're good. No, but stuff like that's what I want to do because it's in the moment. I can use my wit and the crowd's experience that they're having at the moment. It's hard to entertain people because they all have a phone.
Yeah.
If I like baseball, I could be talking to you and looking at the Chicago Cubs starting lineup for tonight's game. Instead of truly being invested in our audiences at rodeo, they have that same opportunity. So we need to be able to give them something they're not expecting so that they're constantly looking around the room waiting to see what's next.
I love that. And I think a good example, there's a few good examples I've seen, but one in particular is the fan of the night where you get to present a buckle. That's something that you personally do, right? It's
yeah, and a lot of guys do it. It's not something that I came up with or that I do, but it's a really good thing for the audience. And I think there's some psychological stuff that goes on when you're in the audience that if I give away Justin Boots after the steer wrestling, and then a little bit later we have a buckle that we're going to give away or 2 or 3 things and we're moving. Over here, we give away something, and then in the third section, we gave away something. You start thinking, oh, I could be next. I might win something, and you're a little more invested. And we use that fan of the night. I've had some legitimately almost brought to tears, like impactful moments where, a special needs person get to have at Dickey's Arena at the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo, and you see 20,000 people, however many's in there, give a standing ovation to a kid because they received a buckle. And it's just, they're smiling and glowing. It's just one of the coolest things I've ever been able to do. So I love Fan of the Night. It's one of my, if I could do it at every rodeo, I would.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think one, I didn't see it in person, but maybe on Facebook it might have gone viral, but it was like a couple that they had just gotten married or something, and you got to give them a buckle. I don't remember what it was, but that was really cool too.
Yeah, there's been a few. There's one that went viral. I don't remember where I was. It was a PBR, and the guy had cancer, and then I was able to, but he was fighting and he was there anyway, and it was like a big deal for him to make it to that event. We forget sometimes just to get out of bed and go watch something. It's hard for some people because of what they're facing. And his wife had written a letter and slipped it to me. And that's another cool thing is you get a lot of notes doing what I do. I'll be walking around the arena and, come here. You'll run over.
Come here.
And they hand you a note. Hey, sometimes it's, hey, there's a bachelorette party over here. Oh. And then sometimes it's, hey, there's a really interesting story or there's someone from another country that's never experienced rodeo. And I get to kind of see a lot of that in behind the scenes stuff.
That is so awesome. And I think what is unique about you, and I hope that you're okay that I'm talking about this, but you mentioned the guy with cancer. You've experienced something like that.
Yeah,
You've experienced his perspective, so talk about that.
Yeah, I in 2019 and 20, I had cancer. I've done my fourth, about a month ago, I did my fourth scan, make sure I'm all clean, and I am. But
praise the Lord.
yeah,
I'll
amen,
say that.
sister.
Yeah,
Psalms 91, I could tell my whole, I might as well. Do we have time?
Of course, yeah, let's do it.
So I'll tell you what happened. So
Okay.
I got this lump on my neck, and I go to the doctor. I'm in California somewhere, and he's like, well, when a guy gets sick, like viral stuff, sometimes your lymph nodes swell up.
Yeah.
Probably do that, take this antibiotic. So it kind of goes down, it comes back. And about a year goes by, being a rodeo guy, so you know how we are. Oh, it's fine.
Tough.
It's going away. I'm not tough. I don't mean that, like, I'm not that guy, but it's like, oh, it'll be fine. We got sports med, Justin Sports Med. You know, you
That's
got
right.
those guys, and I always kind of don't want to go to the real doctor because I know I'm going to bump into one of these guys, Magoni or somebody down the road, and I can get it for free. You know?
Yes,
So anyway,
yes.
I'm tooling along, and I go to my doctor at home, which I'm never there, but I went. And she says, yeah, it's probably cancer. And I'm like,
Hang on, wait. She just said that openly to you? Like
she had no other way. She wasn't wrong. Her bedside manner was great.
Yeah,
but
no.
she just had to say, look, it's probably what it is. And I went, oh, okay, yeah, whatever.
So you didn't believe it?
No. I'm like, yeah, whatever. I'll go get it looked at this other doctor. She told me to go to Winston-Salem, North Carolina. So when I was driving in, I get off the exit, and this big building's here. And I look, and it says, like, whatever cancer center. And then I'm like, she believed it enough, she sent me here. So, okay. So I go in there, and, nerves starting to get up. I get in the room, and the guy literally takes this needle, and he pops it. I'm going to biopsy it right now. He pops it in there, takes it out, goes around the corner. And one good thing about this facility, he straight up came back in moments. He said, yeah, it's squamous, forgive me, I can't say it.
That's okay.
Squamous cell carcinoma. And I don't know what that means. And anyway, so he says, I guess this would have been September or early October maybe of 19. And now, mind you, I have a trip scheduled to go to Las Vegas for the PBR Challenger Tour Finals at the South Point. Flint's still working PBR, so he's doing the big one at T-Mobile. And then I'm leaving there. It's the World Finals weekend in October. It was usually like Halloween. I'm going to leave there, and I got to go to Australia for 2 or 3 weeks. And this is my income, right? So until the NFR, I have a talk show at the NFR. So until the NFR, I'm not going to make any more money, right? I need this October into mid-November money from Australia.
Yes.
And the doctor says, you can't go. You need surgery. And I said, he said, surgery's probably going to do it. We just got to get that out of there. And I'm like, man, I got to go to work. I said, I'm not going to get to work again until, I'm just not going to make any money. I got to provide for my family. He goes, this is surgery. I said, no, I've got to go to work. He goes, okay, I'll let you go to the Vegas thing, and I'll let you go to Australia, but the minute you get back, we have to do surgery. So now my talk show at the NFR is out. And okay, I'm going to be able to make enough money, we can skate along. And I go, this is where my testimony comes into play. Because it's just scary. Like when you hear the C word, I call it, we didn't want to say it around my house. So when you hear that, it crushes you. You're terrified. You think the worst. I have kids, so, we don't want to even tell them.
No.
So now I got to go to Vegas. It's not a great city to be in when you're scared and sick and all that.
Ugh.
And then on to Australia alone, no wife,
Different country.
And knowing I'm going to have more money, I don't need to spend, it's $2,500 just to fly to Australia. So I don't want to buy her a ticket and do all that. So I get to Vegas. I had read the entire Bible. It was like a life goal of mine.
Wow.
I had finished it before all this happened, and I had started back reading Psalms because it's kind of uplifting, and that's just more of my attitude.
Yeah.
And this is before I know I'm sick. So I got my Bible out there. I'm reading it in the room at the South Point, and I go downstairs for the Heroes and Legends, like the Ring of Honor, the PBR Hall of Fame thing.
Right.
And Leanne Hart, J.W. Hart's wife, bumps into me, and she goes, "Hey, I had a dream about you last night." And she's real pretty, and everybody picks on JW for having a way prettier wife than he deserves. And I'm like, I bet you did, Leanne. I'm joking because I'm like,
you're clown.
yeah,
you're funny,
whatever, And she says, no, I'm serious. I'm supposed to tell you something. And I'm like, what? She goes, through. And I said, huh? She goes, through, not through, but like going through. And I just almost broke down, and I went up to my room. I'm like, this is creepy, almost like that's odd for her, and we're friends, but for her to stop and tell me that, it was divine. And so then I go to my room, and I open my Bible app on my phone, and it says read Psalms 91 out loud. So okay, I go open my book. Remember I told you I had been reading Psalms? When I opened my Bible, my bookmark was at the end of 90. So if I would have opened it up, it was going to be 91 anyway that I was up next. So it's like, God, read it. No matter what I did, it was going to be there. So anyway, Psalms 91 is about protection and being under the umbrella of God's love. And I now remember how my mind was. I'm in Vegas. I got to go to Australia. It just clicked. A peace that passes all understanding jumped all over me, and I'm good. I go to Australia, maybe 3 of the best performances I've ever done. I was funny. I was loose. I was full of life. Spread some joy. Got back on the plane. Came home. I did surgery.
Wow.
I went deer hunting.
After surgery?
Yeah. Well, I couldn't shoot a rifle because of the big scar.
Yeah.
And but I had a pistol. I was deer hunting with a pistol, and and they called. And I'm in a deer stand, and that number comes across from the hospital. So I'm like, oh no, what is this? And then he said, look, it was in your lymph nodes. And he said it was kind of like an eye of a potato. It was like just sticking out a little bit of a couple of lymph nodes. It's not in your body anywhere else, but it was kind of trying to be. So we're going to do chemo and radiation. I'm like, no, I thought surgery was going to be everything. So luckily, I was young and healthy enough. The chemo I was able to do was 2 rounds instead of week after week. I just did 2 really heavy doses. And then I did 33 or something like that, radiation. So chemo would make you sick a couple days, and you kind of bounce back from it. And then the radiation, they made a mask, and it was like, you ever have a mouthpiece where you boil it and you fit
mold it?
Yeah, it was like that. It was a mesh plastic thing, and it went from my chest around my face, and it pinned to the table. So I would be pinned while they targeted the spot with radiation. And that was a little scary. And then the end of radiation was really bad on me because it drains you. It basically sunburns you. So I lost about 30 pounds. But then, I bounced back from it. I can remember telling my wife, I never want to have to do this again. But looking back a couple years later, healed all up. If I had to do it tomorrow, if they said, hey, we need to do radio, I'd do it again because it worked. But it's tough. So anybody going through that, I feel it for you because it's not fun. But God gives you battles, and I now have a testimony. Hopefully it helps somebody. Or Psalms 91 was there for me, and I share it with a lot of people that it's kind of like owning a dang Jeep. Once you're driving down the road, you see all the other Jeep people, and you have your little special wave. It's like, gosh, it's sad how many people I bump into that kind of have a similar story.
Man.
Yeah.
How they're just running full speed ahead and stopped. Wow. Yeah. Thank you for being vulnerable there. That impacted me.
I did it in makeup. So
I know. I was just thinking most people will take their makeup off to be vulnerable. Girls anyway, guys probably don't have to do this, but like girls I've seen a lot of girls, influencers especially, take their makeup off to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And you put your makeup on to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
So I so appreciate that. And I can only imagine the things that you were thinking of. And I feel like I just saw something the other day. I listen to a lot of podcasts, probably since I host a podcast. And, one of the girls was saying that like life's not supposed to be easy. It's the Lord, I feel like, brings you to things that are going to be hard, knowing that He's going to get you through them, and that's where you find your most heaviest faith moments. And we don't have enough time in the world to talk about this, but I so agree with you, and I'm right there with you. That is incredible.
It was oddly enough a good experience. I don't know how I can make sense of that, but you quit caring about whether or not you turn the label out on the green beans in the cabinet.
Yeah.
And the OCD things and the little small arguments, it's all irrelevant.
When it's life, right. When it's such a serious topic like that. Yeah. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Okay, so along those same lines then, on the podcast, I always ask, what's your best piece of advice for someone in their career field? So for me, I'm going to ask you, what's your best piece of advice for someone that's going through maybe the C word, or maybe they're going through a battle that can be cancerous, that, whether that be a work or a personal relationship or something. What's your advice there when they're going through struggling?
Keep God first. That's pretty much all you got to do. And look, I'm not a preacher. I'm a moron. I'm an idiot. I've done a bunch of stupid things. But, yeah, I know that that's the roadmap. Keep God first. You can't make mistakes. And that's before career, before your wife. It's as weird as that might come across.
Yes.
God first, and you'll be all right. Yeah.
Definitely. And that's the secret to 20 years of marriage, too, right?
I think so, yeah. And having a wife that is very tolerable. She's great to be around. Yeah. And I can't believe she puts up with me. I don't even know how to say that.
Honestly, I know. As a rodeo clown, I can only imagine the things she
my
has to
jokes,
do.
like everybody else, oh, you're so funny. She's like, you won't shut up.
Do you test them on her first?
Yeah, we test all the acts at home, and sometimes I try to learn a new dance. Like, hey, how am I doing this right? And I really have to practice a lot of stupid stuff in front of her. So, yeah, there are some fun times, like all the games and stuff that we try to play. My daughters yesterday I had them on FaceTime, and I had them I got this giant balloon that humans can fit in. I don't think you're supposed to. So, but anyway, I'm FaceTiming, and my one daughter's got the other one in the shop back with the hose reverse where it'll blow air instead of suck air. And
which is so funny, first of all.
Put it around her, and it was quite funny. Yeah. It didn't work, so it will not be a new act.
But now you know.
Yeah, now you know.
And it's probably been cool for your oldest daughter. She's starting to do some at Liberty riding, right?
Yeah, so she's doing Liberty. She got her PRCA permit, so she'll have her card after she gets 5 rodeos. She had labrum surgery on her hip this year. She had torn her labrum, so she's a little bit behind where we wanted her to be, where she wanted to be. But she's super talented with horses. Her name's Rui, and she's going to be doing acts and stuff in PRCA in the near future, and she's already doing them at the local level around the house, and very proud of her. She got a special way with animals that I don't have. I'm okay with a dog, with a horse. I move too fast, and I'm too full of life. I guess a horse, you got to be a little more calm, and I spook them a lot. I've caused a few setbacks. I'm going to take off my makeup while we talk.
Do it. Yeah, cool? keep doing that while we're talking. And I love that you said that, because part of your job as a clown is to kind of be ready and on edge. When a bull is headed towards your way, you got to duck in the barrel. But you know what the number one question I've been dying to ask you is?
What?
What is it like to roll around in the barrel when a bull is charging at you, when all this stuff is happening? What is it like? Do you get a headache? I mean,
yeah. I got a concussion 2 years ago in Fort Worth. So everywhere's different, and it's it doesn't always hurt, but it makes you dizzy, like you're rolling around. And the worst part about it is the dirt. Like your dirt off your feet gets in the pad of the barrel, so it just falls in your eyes, and you kind of like you want to look out the ends, and it's scary when you're stuck in there, and there's no you don't know if it's going to happen or not. Man, like nowadays at Fort Worth, for instance, Garrett Yerrigan was calling the show for a couple of years, and I wear an ear monitor for the TV stuff, so I know how long my breaks need to be. But he would tell me, bull's coming, 10 feet, 5 feet, 3 feet, now. And so that was awesome.
Wow.
It would help me a lot. But, a lot of times you get down in there and the bullfighters have to take the bull away from the barrel or whatever, and you don't know, and you're just, is it about to hit me? You're just hanging on. I got a bunch of video I can share with you. I don't know if you can edit them into this, but I wear those Ray-Ban glasses where you can see what's happening from my view. I have quite a few of those. And it's cool. You can hear the bullfighters and I talking. That might be some insight people would be interested in, because like Dusty Tuggness, he goes, hang on, stay there. He's still out, or he's leaving. You're safe. And picking on me and joking around. And yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Innovation. Like years ago, they probably would have never thought that was even an option for you to do that.
Yeah, I know. I look at some of those barrels when you go to the Hall of Fame and you see what they're made out of, and old tires and stuff. Those men were tough because Sean Caldwell makes mine, and they're airplane grade aluminum and the padding and all that. He does make them though where they're not. My first barrel I can remember was a little flat sided, kind of like a round piece, and then cones on the bottom and top. So when it hit, it would smack the ground and almost concuss a little bit. And the one I have now, or the two that I have now, are a little more egg. So when they hit, they kind of roll like a football.
Okay.
And it takes that impact out. With the help of the Justin Sports Medicine team at Fort Worth, for instance, when we would fight a Spanish-bred bull every performance, they gave me a neck brace to wear, and I had this little helmet. And so if I had that neck brace and I got in just right, it filled the void from the back of my head and my shoulders touching the barrel when I get in. So that was really good for me, especially fighting a bull every single night.
Yeah, for 23 days or however long.
Yeah,
longer.
I don't remember. It was 28 or something. But anyway,
wow.
It was, you take a pretty good beating there. But again, that goes back to that earning your stripes, band of brothers type stuff. It's pretty cool to be in the locker room with Evan Allard, Dusty Tuckness, Nathan Harp, and getting in the ice bath afterward in the Justin Sports Medicine room, and knowing you just kind of feel like you went to war. And I shouldn't say that. I don't want to take away from our military or compare us to them, but in our own little world, it's pretty cool.
I mean, you did battle the bulls, so
I just held on. They're the athletes. I don't want to compare myself to a bullfighter, but what I did, still a lot of people wouldn't do. So I was proud of it.
Yeah, and you should be very proud. That's, so scary. I never in a million years would want to do that. Maybe when I was younger, I said I would want to ride a bull, but I definitely wouldn't want to get in a barrel for the bull, anywhere near the bull.
Most bullfighters don't want to get in a barrel.
Really?
They're like, no way. I want my chances on my feet. We're like me. I know I can't get away. So I might as well just stay in here, because this is going to be way worse on me if I'm, remember the whole fight, flight, I would freeze up. Yeah. My body would not be doing what my brain thought it would be doing. Yeah.
Have you ever had a scary situation where the bull's horn got into the opening or anything?
Yeah. Again, I could show you some video. At the first year I did Fort Worth, I had one poke me really good got me in the hip.
Through the barrel?
Yeah, so the barrel, obviously, you know how we can walk it. There's a bottom, and the bottom's kind of got a square piece cut in it where I can walk. But when you drop down, you're usually at the bottom of the barrel because you lay down on your side, and that's where you end up.
Okay.
So if he hits it just right and rolls it over and you don't get scooted to the center, they can poke you. And that bull, he kind of just turned his horn. And those Spanish-bred bulls, they know where the ends of their horns are. There's bucking bulls where we tip them, and we tip the Spanish-bred bulls too, the fighting bulls. But they know. I think there's a difference between a Labrador and a wolf.
Yes, big
They're
difference.
both dogs.
Yeah.
And you make the argument that God made them both to be really similar, but the wolf don't act like the Labrador. And it's the same way with a Mexican fighting bull. He's not like the bucking bulls, even the mean bucking bulls. He knows he'll fight a locomotive, he'll fight an airplane, a camel, a human. He doesn't care. You can poke a great white shark in the nose and he'll swim away. That's the one animal on earth, maybe next to a fire ant, that won't run from anything. It's quite amazing.
No, you could not pay me, and you do. You get paid to do that, so good for you.
Yeah, I don't like doing it a lot, just so you know. Yeah.
Man, well, we have had such a good chat with you. I know that you are very busy, so we so appreciate it. I have one follow-up before we leave, talking about barrels. No, I noticed today you don't have it. You'll probably have to go fly eventually. How do you travel with your barrel? How do you make it from rodeo to rodeo?
It's been a learning curve because of the way that I do things. I have a camper here and I have a barrel here.
Okay.
And then I have one in Flying U. Reno Rosser has it in California.
Oh, wow.
So he'll the Reno rodeo. It'll be out there. He'll bring it. That barrel was in Montana and Billings. And a guy with a trucking company, the Chase Hawks Memorial, the guy who puts it on actually, shipped it for me. I paid him to ship it.
Yeah.
Sean Caldwell, who makes my barrels, has an extra. So it's in Weatherford. It'll make its way to Pecos for me later this summer. So, and then a lot of the guys will let you borrow and we share so that in Missoula, I'll be borrowing Dave Whitmore's. So we all have barrels that we share when we need to. I like mine. Yeah. It's made for me, but whatever. If you got to borrow, you got to borrow.
And correct me if I'm wrong, 2024 will be your first Reno rodeo, right?
Yep. First time.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
That's big.
Man, I'm getting so blessed and so many good rodeos. I got Pendleton this year for the first time. Reno. I'm going to be doing Caldwell and Nampa coming up. Not this year, but I have them booked in the future. And of course, I still get to be at Fort Worth San Angelo next year. Wow. So, it's a real honor. I did my first PBR World Finals this year. So, if I get an NFR buckle, that's going to be I got my PBR World Finals buckle. So if I could ever get an NFR, I honestly be able to say I reached my life's goals.
You
I don't,
peaked.
Yeah. I don't know. Not everybody gets to say that, and
No.
hopefully I'm getting closer.
I think so. I mean, I don't know the history before, but last year cheering you on in the top 5 as a finalist, that was amazing. And getting bigger and better rodeos, I feel like you're on your way to doing it.
Hopefully. If nothing else, I get to make a great living and go, your goals, sometimes God puts you where you need to be, right? So I'm not campaigning for anything. I know that's where my mind is. We'll go wherever God sends us, though.
Yeah. Well, I'll campaign for you. I'll cheer you on. I'm
enough.
excited. I'm ready to see your future.
Thank you.
The big rodeos too. I mean, Pendleton, that's a dream that you probably had 24 years ago.
Yeah,
you know?
I've gotten to do the Extreme Bulls finals there at Happy Canyon.
Yeah.
And actually did other events there since like 2013. So I've got a relationship with those guys. I know the city, and I'm excited to go work in the big arena. It's going to be a little bit different, but I've got some experience in some big arenas, so maybe I can kind of take that with me and see how it goes.
You might have to, I don't know, start training now to run from one end to the other.
Have you seen how they introduced the queens there?
Yes.
I was thinking about doing that on foot.
Okay.
I'm not ready yet. I got too many tacos.
Whatever. No, that's genius. That would be it. That would be
And
something.
now from the South Gate.
Jump over the little.
Yes. If I made it all the way around, I think I could get an ovation for that.
I think so.
It's a long way.
That's worth it. In the middle of the day, it's cool there, but still hot.
Yeah. I need like some kindergarten moms with orange slices halfway through so I can stop and take a break.
Refuel station.
Yeah.
Chug a beer. Hey,
Yeah.
boot chug. There you go.
Yeah.
No. Man, well, Matt, this has been so fun. I appreciate your time. Thank you for sharing your story with us and for everything that you do in the rodeo industry. We're so thankful for you. And congrats on joining Team Justin. We're cheering you on, and hopefully we'll see you down the rodeo road.
Thank you. It's an honor to be part of such an iconic brand. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on Kick Your Boots Up. I'm your host, Taylor McAdams, and we can't wait to share the next story of the West. Until then, feel free to like, subscribe, and leave us a review. Follow us on social media at Justin Boots to keep up with our next episode. And we'll see you the next time you kick your boots up.